Good morning, everybody. Here we are. It's Selection Sunday. It certainly does feel that way, doesn't it? I know it's not hoops. We'll get there soon enough, but it is high school football playoff time. Welcome into the CIF Southern Section Sitdown, a special edition here, the Bracket Breakdown. I'm Tarek Patel with SBLive. We're going to go through divisions 14 all the way up to 1. As you know, the section office usually plans to release or is planning to release the brackets at 10 a.m., but we're here live at 9:40 to reveal the brackets. Who's playing who? Where's your team playing? Are they in? Are they out? Did you get in? Are you an at-large? Where are you going? Are you hosting? Are you on the road? You got to go 200 miles. It's all going to get found out right here well before 10 a.m., guys. The information is right here on your screen. So sit back. If you got a breakfast burrito, go ahead and take a bite. We're diving right into these playoff brackets. Let's look at Division 14. Here we go. Artesia, the number 1 seed, 6-4 out of the 605 lead. They're going to host Temecula Prep. 3 at-large berths in this division, which was pretty good for a low division. Of course, Linwood gets an at-large. They're hosting Webb. Bell Gardens hosting La Puente. Ocean View, an at-large, hosting Bolsa Grande. Hawthorne hosting Anaheim. Bishop Montgomery gets in the at-large. They're hosting El Monte. Santa Rosa Academy out of the Cottonwood League. They go 5-5. They're hosting Rancho Alamitos. And at the bottom, Whittier Christian. They're going to host Duarte. So that's Division 14. We're going to keep it moving here, guys. As you all know, we're all anticipating 3, 2, 1, so on. Let's go to Division 13. A couple nice storylines in Division 13, guys. San Gabriel gets the number 1 seed, but I'd like to give a special shout out to Grace Brethren. They get in as an at-large as a freelance team at 6-3. Ethan LaSecla, responsible for 30 more touchdowns. Tom Coate, the head coach. Remember, this is a program that really just kind of disappeared overnight. They had to go to 8-man for 2 years, and they're back in 11-man football. They go to the postseason in Division 13. Congratulations to them. They host A.B. Miller. Walnut gets in at 4-6. They're going to host Silver Valley. Bloomington hosts San Bernardino out of the Mountain Valley League. St. Monica Prep, 7-3. They host Santa Ana Valley, 5-5. Montclair gets an at-large out of the Mount Baldy 4 League. Estancia hosts Baldwin Park. If you know, you know. I've heard someone call them the Baldwin Park Maxis. So they get in at 3-7 out of the Mount Baldy 4 League. They are on the road, and the final game there is Desert Hot Spring. They're going to host Yorupa Valley. On to Division 12 we go. Coachella Valley, the number 1 seed in this one. 2 at-larges in this division. Santa Paula at 8-1, hosting Don Lugo. Don Lugo gets in at 4-6. Victor Valley, they obviously they got in from their league, the San Antonio League. Victor Valley, they're an at-large. They host Western Christian. Fillmore hosting Cerritos. Arrowhead Christian hosting Arroyo. Santa Fe hosting Rim of the World. Rim of the World gets out of the San Andreas League at the 2 spot. They're 4-6. Buena Park, an at-large at 5-5. They host Arroyo Valley, and Yucca Valley hosts Wilson in the Division 12 bracket. We're moving along here. Thanks for watching. If you are eating a breakfast burrito, I hope it's chorizo, because that's my favorite flavor. Anyway, number 1 in Division 11, Quartz Hill out of the Foothill League, out of the Golden League. They're going to host Gar. Linfield Christian, they're hosting Hillcrest out of the River Valley League. Ramona is going to host San Gorgonio. Palmdale, they're also out of the Golden League. They got the tied for first place out of that league. They are hosting Bellflower. Esperanza, an at-large, host Pauley of Riverside. Gets in from the Sunbelt League at 4-6. Los Altos, another at-large. They host Patriot High out of the River Valley League. Cantwell Sacred Heart hosting Maranatha, and Sure hosting Westminster. We keep it going on to Division 10, trying to get through these pretty briskly, as they might say. Torrance, the number 1 seed in Division 10, 6-4 out of the Pioneer League. San Marino hosting Redlands. Redlands gets in as an at-large. Hemet hosting Rancho Christian. Elsinore High, they're going to host Brio Linda. Brio Linda 5-5 out of the Crestview League. They get an at-large berth. Capo Valley Christian 8-1. They host Beckman. West Covina hosting Paloma Valley. La Quinta hosting Xavier Prep, and Kennedy out of the Empire League. They get an at-large. They're going to host Crescenta Valley out of the Pacific League. That's the Falcons. That league, 3 at-larges get in. On to the single digits. We're moving on to Division 9, guys. Here we go. Number 1, Rio Hondo Prep. They come out of the Gold Coast League. They're 9-1. St. Margaret's 6-4 out of the Orange Coast League. That's who's on the road to Rio Hondo Prep. Diamond Bar, they get in at 3-6. They're going to host Orange High from the Orange Coast League. They got tied for first place. Vista del Lago, they get an at-large. They're going to host Marina. Rancho Mirage, 7-2, hosting Serrano. Santa Monica out of the Bay League, they get an at-large. That's 3 at-large teams in this division, if I'm not mistaken. They host Santa Ana. Troy hosting Monrovia. Dominguez, another at-large team at 6-4, hosting Kaiser out of the San Andreas League. And Los Altos hosting South Pasadena. South Pasadena had a great year. They go 9-1 and get the number 1 spot out of the Rio Hondo League. We keep it pushing, as I would say. The Division 8 playoffs, Brentwood, they get the number 1 seed in that division. They're going to host at-large bid qualifier. Fountain Valley at 3-7. They get in. Highland hosting out of the Golden League San Dimas. One of the hashtags out as Highland is Dirt Made, so I know that they're proud of getting their playoff berth, and they know who they're playing now, and now they're hosting. It's North Torrance. They're going to host, maybe a surprise here, Charter Oak. So Charter Oak gets in Division 8 as an at-large team at 2-8. Remember last year, Alamany got into the Division, I believe, 5 playoffs, going 1-9. So it just goes to show you these Cal Prep rankings, you play a tough opponent, you play a tough schedule, these Cal Prep rankings can help you get in the playoffs. Charter Oak clearly did enough with the schedule they put together. They're an at-large team at 2-8. They get another chance to extend their season. They're on the road to North Torrance. Summit hosting Covina. Barstow is hosting St. Pius. That's a team out of the Del Rey League that went 4-5. St. Anthony is going to host Taquitos, and Aliso Niguel hosting Lawndale. And to finish out the bracket, Irvine hosting Yorupa Hills. That's an at-large. 2 at-larges, Aliso Niguel and Yorupa Hills, getting the at-larges. 4 at-larges in Division 8. We go to Division 7. Chino goes 10-0 this year, and they are the number 1 seed in Division 7. They host Jordan out of the Moore League. Mayfair hosting Village Christian. Burroughs of Burbank, the number 1 seed out of the Pacific League, 9-1 this year. They host at-large Agora. Dustin Croik told me they got a watch party going on in Agora Hills. He did tell me there was breakfast burritos there. I don't know. I'm going to have to see photos. But Agora, the Chargers, get in. They're on the road to Burroughs of Burbank. Diamond Ranch hosting Muir. ML King hosting Lakewood. Granite Hills playing Salesian. Bishop Diego and Santa Barbara gets in out of the Marmani League. They host at-large Redondo Union. And Laguna Beach is going to host El Dorado, guys. Here we go. Division 6 on the way. We're creeping closer to those top divisions I know you guys all want to know about. Not to say these aren't important, but you know what I mean. Ontario Christian, the number 1 seed out of the Ironwood League. They're the number 1 seed in Division 6. They host Dana Hills. Huntington Beach is the at-large at 4-6. They host Glendora. Hart hosts Korean Lutheran. Hart had one heck of a year out of the Foothill League. They've turned things around. They finished this season 7-3. Rancho Verde is going to host at-large Simi Valley out of the Marmani League. Jim Bankert has the Pioneers rolling. Murrieta Mesa hosts Laguna Hills. Murrieta Mesa 4-6. Laguna Hills 9-1. A matchup to keep an eye on. La Habra hosting West Ranch out of the Foothill League. Yucaipa hosting Miracosta, and Cypress hosting Rio Mesa. Look at Miracosta getting in at 3-7 from the Bay League. Yucaipa getting a home game as an at-large team. Well, we'll look at that. Division 5, number 1 seed Newberry Park. They got a quarterback named Brady Smigel. He's thrown 41 touchdowns, 14 of them had gone to standout junior wide receiver Shane Rosenthal. A high-powered offense is going to host Ventura High School, the number 3 team out of the Channel League. Foothill hosting Aquinas. Bonita hosting Northview, gets an at-large berth at 8-2. Thousand Oaks is going to host El Medina. Hesperia hosting Apple Valley. Colony hosting Western. Liberty is hosting San Jacinto. And Orange Vista hosting Eisenhower. That rounds off Division 5. And here we go to Division 4. Number 1 seed Loyola out of the Angeles League is heading to the Mission League next year. Drew Casani, the head coach, does a great job. The Cubs at the top spot in Division 4. How will they do? Well, they gotta find a way to beat Norte Vista first. Yorba Linda hosting Moore Park. Ryan Husengay turning things around for the Musketeers. 9-1. What a great year. Finished tied for first in the Canyon League with Newbury Park, who got the number 1 seed in Division 5. St. Paul hosting Santa Barbara. Corona Del Mar is going to host Paraclete out of the Angeles League. They got an at-large berth at 7-3. Ayala hosting Culver City. Capistrano Valley gets in. They're an at-large team. They host Downey. Newport Harbor, they host Trabuco Hills. And La Serna at 7-3, the number 1 team out of the Del Rio League. They host Great Oak. Okay, let's go to Division 3. These are some of the most anticipated divisions for the playoffs, 3, 2, and of course 1. So let's take a look at Division 3. Look at St. Francis on the road to San Juan Hills. San Juan Hills had a great year, number 2 out of the Seaview League, 9-1. They're going to host John Sanders and the junior quarterback of the Golden Knights. Lusinger hosting Citrus Valley. Oxnard of Pacifica, 10-0 this year, the Channel League champions. They host Cajon in that matchup, and to round out the top 4 of this bracket, Etiwanda gets an at-large berth. The Eagles that stunned Damien at the end of the year, they get a home game, and they're going to host St. Bonaventure, a hard-fought game against Oaks Christian. St. Bonaventure, the Seraphs, the 2-time Armani League champions from a couple of years ago in a row, and they fall to Oaks Christian this past Friday, 13-10. So now they're on the road. Moving down to the bottom of the bracket, Oak Hills, 9-1. The Mojave River champions, they host Beaumont. Again, this is Division 3. Tustin, a home game against Warren. A little bit of a surprise to see Warren, the Gateway League number 1. Remember, they played at SoFi Stadium. They beat Downey, and they're on the road to really a great team from Tustin, 10-0, maybe having a great year they haven't had in a long time. Always hard to go undefeated in the regular season in high school football, as we all know. Villa Park, an at-large team. They're 9-1 out of the Crestview League. They're going to host Milliken of the Moore League. They're from Long Beach Poly, of course. And at the last the last matchup, we have Chaminade getting in from the Mission League. That's a team that had a great year last year. Not so much the great year they had here in 2023, but enough to get into the playoffs, and they face Inglewood. And not only do they face Inglewood, they actually get a home game. So very rare do we see at-large teams, in years past get a home game, but in this system, if your Cal Prep ranking's a little bit higher, you get that home game. The Eagles host Inglewood. So that's Division 3. Here we go. The big one, Division 2. Well, not quite the biggest one, but a big one. Division 2, arguably the most competitive playoff bracket in the section. Let's take a look at it. There it is, Rancho Cucamonga, the number 1 seed, and they host Edison. Edison had a really, really interesting season. They were a Division 1 playoff team, last year, and they're down in Division 2 this year. Damien flounders at the end of the year, 8-0, and then loses their last 2 games, but did enough to receive an at-large berth. They are going on the road to a very good Marietta Valley team, Bear Bachmeyer, Dorian Hose, really talented Nighthawks team, capable of scoring a lot of points. So that'll be a matchup to look out for. Oaks Christian hosting Chaparral. Let's not forget Chaparral won, I believe, 3 games in a row to end the season, and their last game over Eastvale of Roosevelt ended on a free kick. That's right, we got a fair catch on a punt at the 25-yard line, and there was a free kick to win the game. They won that game 59-57, so Chaparral on the road to Oaks Christian and Westlake Village. The Lions will have to take on the Pumas. Mission Viejo hosts Palos Verdes. Here's one of those ones where you just kind of think, oh man, Palos Verdes goes 10-0. They're Bay League champions, and they got to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs in Division II. They're playing big bad Mission Viejo, who had a 7-3 year. Sarah of Gardena hosts Bishop Amat. So there you go. You got a double Mission League game there for those two teams, Sarah and Bishop Amat. To round out the division, Los Alamitos hosts Upland. Upland 8-2, maybe the most slept-on program in Southern California. They shocked Rancho Cucamonga in the final game of the year, and they finished 8-2, so they're on the road to Los Alamitos. Servite gets an at-large out of the Trinity League. They are going to host Valencia, the Foothill League champions. Now, Valencia, they've had quite the interesting year. Obviously, 9-1, a really, really promising year for Larry Muir and the Vikings. Their only loss is to Rancho Cucamonga this year, so a very strong team out of the Foothill League. They are back on top. West Ranch has won that league a couple years in a row, and now it's Valencia. Congratulations to them. And, of course, Long Beach Poly hosting Vista Murrieta. That's another at-large team in Division II. So I'm looking at 3 at-large teams in Division II. And that rounds off what I think is the toughest division to win in the section. Here we go to the big, bad Division I. Who's playing? How many teams? We got it for you. It's 8 teams, guys. 8 teams for Division I. And the number 1 seed, no surprise, is St. John Bosco. They'll play San Clemente. 9-1 are the Tritons, the South Coast League champions. Corona Centennial will host Orange Lutheran, a 5-5 team. Sierra Canyon's going to host Santa Margarita, an at-large team out of the Trinity League. And Mater Dei, which earlier beat J. Sarah in the season 42-0 in October, earlier this month. They're going to play J. Sarah. Mater Dei, J. Sarah, Sierra Canyon, Santa Margarita, Corona Centennial, and Olu, St. John Bosco, San Clemente. We all know that oftentimes, and the latter part of these years, it's been who's going to knock off St. John Bosco, who's going to knock off Mater Dei. We've had Jason Negro on this show on Southern Section Sitdown, and he talks about not being afraid to go be great, not being afraid to go and play the big game. And there are certainly big games in Division I. There you have it. There's 8 teams, and he talks about no one thought we were going to go to Kahuku and lost, and look what they did. The big bad St. John Bosco, as he said, shows up in Hawaii and loses that game that no one thought they would have lost. These are games that are really, really interesting. Of course, everyone's got their eyes on Division I. They'll wait a week, and they'll play November 3rd in the first round, then November 10th, and then the final is November 24th. The Division I playoffs are underway. And there you have it for the 8 teams in Division I. Really, really fun to have you guys on the bracket breakdown, special edition of the Southern Section Sit Down. I'm Tarek Patel from SBLive. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Friday nights.